Good morning, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lifts. I'm your host, WILDMAN. So on today's episode, I am very excited and you are all in for a very big treat. Today is episode 1 of our docuseries that me and my buddy Frank are creating called Training the Carnivore. Now, just as a reminder, Frank is on the carnivore diet, and we are going to be testing him as a science experiment to see if he can achieve maximal strength output while being on the carnivore diet. Today is going to be day 1, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. Now, I'm proud to say that this docuseries is being sponsored by our friends over at Rock Hardware and Cabinets. If you go over to their YouTube page, you can see what kind of items they have on there, and I'm going to leave a link in the description. It'll take you to their website. It'll also take you to their YouTube channel. And we're really appreciative of them for sponsoring our docuseries as we conduct this science experiment. Now let's pop in and let's see what the first episode is about. Now I'm going to be training Frank in giant set format. Normally I don't do that with beginners or novice, but Frank is a former client of mine and he has already trained in those methods. So I'm going to expedite his training just a touch and build his work capacity in the process by putting him on giant sets. And the first exercise is going to be the back squat. And he's going to make sure that he's getting down to depth between every rep by using that med ball. And he's going to be doing toes to bars as well in order to get his hips and his core activated as he's back squatting. And he'll also be doing box jumps in between as well. And that's going to be the giant set format for the day. This is all going to be programmed to make sure that he is ready to go as the weights get heavier. Now, this program that I've designed for Frank is what I usually typically do for beginners or people who have never weightlifted before. I like to start them off on a very low number, even if it's just the bar, and then I just add weight continuously up every set until they can no longer do 6 repetitions. So Frank is mirroring that. He's going to be doing tough 6 in giant set format, where he's going to do 6 repetitions until he can not do 6 repetitions anymore, or it becomes a very tough 6 reps. So that's what we're aiming for here. And it's great for beginners because this allows you to build some strength before you test your 1 rep max. Then after that, you can go on a basic program such as 5x5, which would then increase your 1 rep max over time. But this is allowing your body to get used to the weight at a weight that you can control. And it gives the athlete some feel before they go for their 1 rep max. Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm coaching Frank through all these movements and I'm making sure that his form and all the movements he's doing is correct. I'm also giving him cues. So as the weight's getting heavier, I want to make sure that he's maintaining his form integrity. So I give him cues such as that one, which is to let him know that he needs to think about lifting the weight with his upper back, which will actually activate his glutes, his quads, and his hamstrings to work together. So that's a good cue to use, and it's something that I've learned and helps me as well. And even elite lifters use the same kind of cues. So I'm just basically going along with Frank and making sure that he's doing everything correctly. And as he gets tired, if his form starts to break down, I'm able to cue him. Now this is his top set. So it's 225 pounds for a tough 6. And I could tell this was going to be his top set. So I told him to slow down and make sure that he's hitting every rep with correct bracing, with the correct cues, and he was getting to depth. I didn't want him to rush the judgment and then he misses that med ball and his depth isn't good. So here I'm really trying to get him to concentrate on every single rep, which will be beneficial when he's testing his 1 rep max, because this is what you would do for a 1 rep max. You'd make sure that you're descending slowly and then making sure you're cueing yourself correctly as the weight goes up. And Frank's going to continue to do toes to bars as he's done every single set, and his box jumps as well, because this really gets your hips moving and works your explosive patterns as you're going up in the weight. And these will actually get easier as you go up over time. And I'm only giving him 3 reps each because that's the easiest thing to do. Every time that I program a new client, I always like to start with day 1 being back squats. Back squats, for some reason, wakes up your central nervous system and gives positive output to the rest of your lifts as the week progresses. Now let me show you what the variation giant set was for Frank to get better at the back squat. Now the back squat works your posterior chain a lot. The front squat works your anterior chain, which is your core and your quads, and statically holding a weight up above you from the front of your body. Whereas the back squat, because it works your posterior chain, is the back of your body. So I like to program front squats as a variation lift. And we're not using very heavy weights here. Again, he's only going to a tough 6, but we're trying to hit this within 3 rounds. And in between those front squats, he's going to continue to do as he did in his strength portion, which is toes to bar, and he's going to continue to do box jumps. And he's going to try to anticipate how much weight he should do within 3 rounds. Now, I told Frank that we're not trying to go for a 1 rep max or a 6 rep max, even if he was fresh for the front squat. We just did a lot of work for the strength portion with the back squat. So this is something that Frank kind of has to use by feel, which is to make sure that he's able to get to depth, hold his good form and his cues as he does the front squats, and he's not giving anything up to sacrifice good form for heavy weight. So here was his top set. And one of the things about the front squat you might not know is it's sitting right there in your neck by your carotid artery. So sometimes it's kind of a test of time to see if you can squat before you pass out, which was kind of happening to Frank right here. He said it was getting really heavy and he was fighting that urge to pass out, which kind of, believe it or not, that's what we're aiming for. So this was a true 6 rep max here, and I couldn't be proud of Frank because this was a very difficult weight to lift even for beginners, and he's got a heart of steel, no doubt about it. And again, just to keep everything easy, we did toes to bars between every single round, and we did our box jumps. And that was going to be it for the variation giant set. When I do back squats, I typically like to focus on that day to isolate the quads. I also like to make my core strong. So let me show you some of the exercises I gave Frank on the assistance giant set in order to target those areas. So for the assistance giant set, we're doing 3 rounds, and I'm kicking back to an old exercise from my CrossFit days called wall balls, whereas you squat low and you just basically throw a medicine ball up to a designated target. And this really gets your timing down and works your legs very well. And right after that, I had Frank walk from one end to the gym to the other, doing walking lunges. This is really great for frontal lateral movement and isolate your quads very well. And although Frank looks happy, his legs were on fire, he told me. And we're also going to be doing ab mat sit-ups as well for a strong core. That's the assistance giant set. For the accessory giant set, I would prefer that everybody focuses more attention on the strength giant set and the accessory giant sets rather than the variation and the assistance giant sets. Mainly because strength is what's going to get you strong, but the accessories is what's going to keep you injury free. Now let's pop in and let me show you what I'm talking about. For the accessory giant set, we did 3 rounds of finishing off our quads by doing leg extensions on the machine in the gym, since our quads were already very tired. And we're also doing hitchhikers for shoulder health and for back stability. One of the best exercises I ever learned how to do were hitchhikers, and I love to do them on my squatting days and my deadlift days as well. And our flutter kicks to make sure we're hitting that lower abdomen and we're getting our legs involved as well in a functional movement. And that was going to be the giant accessories for the day. So there you have it. Episode 1, day 1 is in the books, and Frank did not die. Congratulations, Frank. Now, if you'd like to follow along with Frank and see what kind of food he's eating on the daily, here is a list of what he ate on that squat day. So if you're wondering, did he change his diet at all? Did he structure it differently? Did any changes need to be made? Or is this what he's going off of? This is typically what Frank goes off of on the daily. And we're going to see if this kind of diet will sustain him in the future as the week progresses. Thank you for watching. See you next time.